Do you ever feel stuck, like you're living your life on autopilot? Are you ready to shift into high gear and reach the success you so richly deserve? Welcome to the Play Big Movement podcast. I am your host, Sharon Lechter, entrepreneur, business strategist, and best-selling author. Playing big is not about settling for good enough or being comfortable. It is about reaching your highest potential and achieving your greatest success. Join me in my Play Big movement as I interview top experts in business, money, and entrepreneurship, all ready to serve you and to help you play big, be number one in your field, live your legacy, and create maximum impact. Welcome, everyone, to this segment of the Play Big Movement podcast. I'm excited today. My guest is Jill Lublin. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you so much.
We've known each other for years, and when we talk about playing big, one of the greatest areas where you need to focus is in how you put yourself out there in the public relations, publicity. And Jill has always been so kind and generous, and she speaks on many of the stages with me and shares her insights. And she's also kind of taken a little bit off, a different topic of basically heart-centered, dealing with love and grace. I love this word, grace. Your latest book, Jill, I think is called Prophet of Kindness, which I just absolutely love. And I know it hit the number one spot in several categories on Amazon. So we want to talk a little bit about that. But before we get there, Jill, I always like to introduce my guests and have them talk about little Jill. We have the bio and all the wonderful things and the incredible companies, the people that you've helped succeed. But tell us a little bit more about how you got started and the little Jill.
Well, little Jill is why I, frankly, kind of what inspired me to become better Jill, because little Jill was a tough one, meaning I came from a dysfunctional family. I'm sure many of you can relate to that, with a wild, crazy mother. And to be honest, I had to be the really responsible one, which, also prepped me for who I am today, meaning I'm really the one who took care of the family. I actually was the first one in my family to graduate college. That was exciting. And, it was interesting because I, thank God, had smarts. I think there was a part of me, the highly creative part of me, that got a little left behind. The other one was, of course, really lauded by my parents and, go, go, go. And I found that the creative one, which I actually do use a lot in my publicity work, in my writing of books, got a little left behind. So her I had to find again. And what I know, having a bit of a rough childhood is, and more emotionally than anything else, what I found was it really inspired me to become who I am and drove me to transformational work and personal work, and with the willingness to get better and bigger than where I came from.
So, and you've written, I think, 4 books.
4 books.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we share that, there's always the public one of us on stage, but when you're an author, there's also that private cerebral thing. And I love what you talk about because, I think about it when I grew up, it was always the creative side for me was also pushed down because I was always, into math. I had a very loving home. So my family was definitely not dysfunctional. It was like Ozzie and Harriet. But, it was my dad was military. So it was always, emotion did not help us in life. So it was always driving. So that type A personality. And so you do tend to put the creative side, away. But so I think that's interesting. And of course, as you start realizing to let it back in, you start feeling like there's a piece of you that was been missing for all those years, right?
Yeah, a little bit. And, I'm grateful for everything I've done and become. And I think all of us in our struggles, and I put that in quotes, it does really mold us if we use it right and don't go down a victim path, to really be better people and to have more compassion and understanding. Because, the truth is we've all been through something. I think if everyone's honest, most people have been through something, even you with your Ozzie and Harriet background,
Oh, yeah.
So that's the piece is what are we going to do with what was, and then what are we going to become, and still carving our futures. It doesn't end till it ends, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and I think sometimes, people, their lives on Facebook are not their real lives. All of us, everybody's had something that's stopped them in their tracks. And the issue is getting past that and continuing to move forward. And as I say, those things, if you have a failure or a disappointment or a mistake in your business, it's an occurrence, not a definition. And too many of us, can define ourselves as a failure. And we have to get past that, know that's something we have to learn from it and move forward.
Absolutely.
So you also are, I love this publicity crash course that you talk about on stage and stuff. So for our viewers and our listeners, can you share a little bit about when you first meet somebody and you need to give a few minutes of wisdom? What are the things that you talk about in your publicity crash course?
Thank you. Well, the really key thing about publicity is you have to have a great message. So when you meet people, you need to tell them that basically you're an expert, but not from an egoic perspective. You lay a groundwork and a foundation. I like to call it the problem solution formula, because what that does is it enables people to understand how you will solve a problem, their problem. I like you to speak in you language so that you're talking to your customer and prospect, and particularly the media. The media wants sources and resources for whatever's going on in the world in the media. So that's a real key. So I think it's really important that you have a very concise and precise message. When somebody says, "What do?" You got to answer in a way that's oriented solution effective, and that your words land in them, that they're authentic to you and resonant with who you are. So a clear, compelling message is key. And what I also know in dealing with lots of small business owners and all kinds of industries and all kinds of businesses is that the good news is when you get public relations, you drive prospects, you drive money, you drive the recognition factor, you drive trust. People know your name, and that familiarity, like I've heard of her somewhere syndrome, I like to call it. So I've seen all kinds of businesses, whether they be coaches, financial planners, chiropractors, and many, many more consultants, drive their business using publicity as a primary marketing strategy. And that's why I love it. I mean, I'm big on, my book is Guerrilla Publicity, and that's really all about using highly effective, high impact strategies. So, here's the thing, Sharon, literally what I want you all to understand as you're watching this is from the moment you walk out your door, you're doing public relations. So let's do it well, let's do it clearly, and have you be clear about your message.
So talk about that, because certainly over the last 10 years, we've seen a real evolution in how you do your business, and how to do it effectively with social media taking such a prominent position, with network television becoming less and less important from a standpoint of viewers, and where they're seeing, now they're on Hulu and Amazon, they're everywhere except on network TV. So talk a little bit about how you've seen that transition and the importance of, publicity is social media as well, and the role between publicity and paid advertising. So.
Yeah, so first of all, here's what I see. I think it's, in a way, good news in the sense that, and call me an eternal optimist, but the truth is, because of social media, because of blogs and podcasts, because CNN has gone to CNN.com and ABC TV is ABC.com, et cetera, all my clients are getting double the publicity. Right? I recently had a nonprofit on CNN who now also is on CNN.com. And from that interview, not only did it lead to $100,000 in literal donations, it also created Associated Press, the Washington Post, and so on and so forth. He started with one segment in San Diego on network television, by the way, ABC TV. So what I know, when Profit of Kindness came out, in the first week, I was on 7 Fox News TV shows all across the nation. And I personally think that people are still watching, because you know what I saw? 35% in book sales immediately from the website, like increase is what I mean.
Mhm.
So how powerful is that? It still works. And what you also got to be aware of is, yes, there are multiple ways, streams, and other places to reach people. So how are we going to reach them that way? That's my question. So we've got TV, we've got radio, we've got all the rest of it from there. Like I did a TV show a while ago called Messages of Hope on my local cable channel, which I think is a great PR tip for a lot of people to do.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? Here we are 2 years later, and I just did a search on one of the people I interviewed, and turned out she's on Roku, and we had 12,000 downloads on Roku. I'm like, hallelujah. That was, 2
Mhm.
years later. And as far as I am thrilled to say that now we've reached even more eyeballs because of the continuous expansion of what we've got going on. And be aware, when you're on social media, it's PR, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
all of it.
And I think it's important to point out, a lot of people would want to try to do it on their own, but that's, the value of having an expert in the field is that you know how to spread the word and how to link up, one distribution method to others and be able to expand and really exponentially increase the number of eyeballs that you see. So talk a little bit about the importance of hiring someone like you.
Thank you. Well, let's just say I wouldn't extract my own teeth, do my own bookkeeping, etc. We go to experts who are experts in their fields, and my expertise is the area of publicity.
Mhm.
And I've been doing it for, over 20 years, literally helping thousands of people through my publicity course, as well as private consulting, get really clear on your message and then develop the tools, the tools that the media needs to say yes to you. And frankly, then knowing what to say to the media when they ask you questions, and how to create questions that create interest to purchase your services and products. And that's all really key. And the other thing I've been doing, which I'm very excited about, is I've been helping people get book deals. And that's been really wonderful. Without a word written, I found an agent for one of my clients. We closed a 6-figure book deal, Sharon, which in today's world, because you
Yeah.
write so many fabulous books, is not common. So I'm very excited. And I know a lot of people dream to get a book out. And that's something, if you're interested, talk to me about it too, because I help people do that.
That's
And
fantastic.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And, frankly, being a publicity person, I'm listening for right messaging, the kind of influence, a person who is committed to getting more influence, because really public relations equals influence. And when you have a great message, which, I know that most of you watching this would, because you'd be inspired to educate yourself and to go further. And the truth about your message is, if you want to get it further, public relations is your path to do that with.
Well, and I love it. When I talk to people or do one-on-one, I go, everybody's an expert, but to become the authority is when you're the authority in something, when people start calling you. So one of the benefits of getting into that local market, those local networks, is that they realize that you're good on camera, you're good in an interview, you're a subject matter expert. So all of a sudden you're in their Rolodex, and if the topic comes up, they call you to come in for an interview. And that
Absolutely.
can be helped through someone like you to make sure that you're constantly, paying attention to what's happening in the media where you can play a role, right?
Yeah, and Sharon, if I may, let me give you a great tip for how to do that. And that is, put not only your name in Google alerts, but also keywords of what you're an expert in. So, whatever that is, put it in so you see what people are talking about, and, where it is that you can fit in. One of my clients in Dallas is an expert on what she calls sweeping the college exams. Well, with, the things that were happening in the media with the college admission scandal, guess who's talking in Dallas all over the media about this? So although it's not exactly where her rubber meets the road, but what I want you to listen for is how whatever you do can fit into what's going on in the headlines right now. And then we create
absolutely.
it. Yes.
Yeah, I recommend everybody. Google Alerts is a free service. Use your name, your company name, your product name, the subject matter, financial education, competitors, people that are in your space. I have Google Alerts on them, so I know what's happening. Major customers, major clients, you put so that you find out what's happening, and you can either support them or if there's problems coming. So if one of your major clients gets an award, don't you want to know about that so you can be the first one to congratulate them? So yeah, the Google Alerts is an incredible tool to help you move forward. So tell people how they can find you, Jill.
Thank you. So check out JillLublin.com, and I know it's lots of L's in there, JillLublin.com. You can call us. We like to talk to people still at 415-883-5455. And then you can find me all over social media also using my name. It'd be great to connect with you.
Fantastic. So when you're going to hang out with me for a few more minutes when we finish this interview, so we can do something for the private Facebook group. But for the folks listening and watching right now, I typically, I like to ask people, what do you have a daily habit, a habit that you would contribute to your success? What are some of the things that you do that others might be able to emulate?
Oh boy, daily habits. I love those. Well, just from a spiritual perspective, I make sure that I meditate and really start my day focused on a higher power and not necessarily me, so that I set my day right. On good days, I exercise regularly. And that's honestly not a daily habit, but it is a structure in my brain to connect to that. And another daily habit is I love my kitties. I take what I call kitty hug breaks. And I just go and hang out with my cats, and good stress releasing hormones there, and just a lot of fun. So that's one of my daily habits. I make sure also I'm in nature at least once a week, just connecting with nature. And that for me is a piece of what I do.
So tell us a little bit about Profit of Kindness before we completely.
Oh, good. Well, I have to show you a picture because every author should always have her book close by. So this is The Profit of Kindness. And what it is a book that's oriented toward supporting you to use more kindness in your business. And what I developed was what I call return on kindness principles, or ROCs. Like everyone's so into ROI. So I did ROKs because what we found, return on kindness principles, what we found was that by utilizing one of these 7 words, like patience, that's a big one, compassion, flexibility, those are some of them, that really made a difference. And the other thing that I found so fascinating in interviewing wonderful companies and all kinds of businesses is that those who were really practicing kindness, and of course all of them did, otherwise we wouldn't have been interviewing them. What's interesting is they got more publicity, they had happier customers, they had happier employees, they were more fulfilled as CEOs. It was a consistent and constant, yes, kindness works, and it showed up in their bottom line. I have to tell you, I was driving yesterday in San Francisco, and I saw the Muni buses, our local buses. On the side was Dignity Health, huge healthcare company, and they were doing a campaign on kindness. Human kindness, they called it. I thought, oh yes, we've hit the mainstream and healthcare and the buses.
That's fantastic. Well, Jill, thank you for being with us, and hang out there for a moment. We're going to do another one, and all of you watching and listening, rewind this, because Jill gave you some incredible tips, and ask yourself, what more can you be doing as it relates to publicizing what you do? I think you heard a few things rhyming when she talked about solve a problem, right? And because as we talk about, most successful businesses solve a problem or serve a need. And so understanding how, and I love the message of having your message concise and precise. I love that.
Thank you.
And so please hang out there, rewatch it, and join us in the private Facebook group, Play Big Movement with Sharon Lechter, and have a fantastic day. Thank you, Jill. Thank you for listening to this segment of the Play Big Movement podcast. Please subscribe to iTunes and leave us a review, as well as join us in other areas of social media, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Sharon Lechter, and for Facebook, author Sharon Lechter. Thank you so much and have a fabulous day.